Hey, what's going on YouTube? What's happening, guys? You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels, and today's story is actually about e-cigarette giant Juul suspending sales of all fruity flavors ahead of the looming U.S. ban. I just thought this was, this isn't super tied into entrepreneurship, though I think there is a lesson that we can take away from this story. And I think the lesson here is it's not always it's not always big. It's not always good to be the big dog. It's not always good to be the big name. A lot of people want to be like, oh, I want to be known. I want to be the number one in my industry. And a lot of times it's kind of good to kind of fly under the radar and not really be the name that everybody knows, because if your industry kind of comes under attack, you're going to be the one that gets kind of picked apart. And I always find it's kind of funny. My uncle works for McDonald's, and like every day of the week, McDonald's used to be in this kind of like corporate woodsy setting in Oak Brook, Illinois, and then they moved downtown to the old Harpo Studios. And my uncle always says like every day there's people outside, protesting, because obviously there's a lot of people in Chicago, and McDonald's is kind of an easy target. And whether it be about wages or unhealthy food or whatever else, like every day when he goes out to go to lunch, there's people outside protesting. But you don't really see people protesting Wendy's or Burger King or Taco Bell, because everybody goes for the big dog, McDonald's, right? Another example, I remember last year, I think it was last year, the U.S. put Alibaba and AliExpress, essentially the same company, but put them on like a trade blacklist for selling counterfeit goods. Now, are there counterfeit goods on AliExpress and Alibaba? Well, absolutely. It's a third-party platform like eBay. The same way you're going to find counterfeit goods on eBay and Amazon, you're going to find them on a big platform. They just can't possibly police every listing. But then you have sites out there like iOffer, where I can hop on there and literally buy a knockoff Louis Vuitton purse or a knockoff pair of Yeezys, like perfectly openly. On AliExpress, like if you want to find like a knockoff pair of Nikes or a knockoff jersey, you can't search, San Francisco 49ers jersey or Nike shoes. Like you have to like designer shoes, and then you have to scroll through like 10 pages of listings, because they know AliExpress will actually take action and take it down. Whereas a site called iOffer, I could go on there and type in like fake Rolex, and I could find fake Rolexes. So I always think, again, it's interesting how the government chooses to kind of crack down on or go after certain companies. Another one is Backpage. Backpage, like the handjob massage girls website, they got shut down. The government's going after them hard, but there's 100 other sites that do the exact same thing. So it's always interesting to me how the government decides to go after the big dog in an industry. And that's kind of what we're seeing here with Juul. There's a million companies out there who are actually paying. Either Vice.com or Vice News did an interesting piece on this recently. And they were interviewing a bunch of these like teenage vape YouTube stars, and they have companies paying underage kids to do like vape tricks and drive traffic to their vape websites. They're selling like crazy cotton candy flavors and things like that. And the government doesn't really go after them, but Juul, a company who seems to kind of be a bit more professional than the others, God forbid they sell fruit flavors. I think it's kind of ironic that like, obviously is vaping a problem among the youth and things like that? Well, absolutely it is. But, how come we can sell cigarettes? How come we can sell, fruity drinks, pink lemonade vodkas and things like that? Like, aren't kids attracted to that? The idea that adults don't enjoy flavors and, selling a flavored anything is just marketing to kids is kind of silly. I guess Juul said that they were going to keep their mint and menthol flavors. I guess those are a little bit less like kid friendly than say like a mango or a cucumber melon. And the government's coming out like, oh my gosh, this shows that they don't care and they want to keep kids smoking because God forbid they keep a mint flavor. But I figure we kind of get into this article. I just thought it was kind of interesting. And I think the lesson we can all kind of take away from this is if you're in kind of a gray market industry, don't necessarily try to be the big dog. There's plenty of money out there for those who fly under the radar and make their money and kind of keep the headaches at bay doing it that way. But the article goes on to say Juul will stop selling its fruit-flavored e-cigarettes. Juul will continue selling its mint, menthol, and tobacco flavors. The Trump administration is readying a ban on flavored e-cigarettes amid a teen vaping epidemic. Just announced Thursday, Juul announced it is immediately suspending sales of popular fruity e-cigarette flavors ahead of a Trump administration policy that is expected to remove all flavored e-cigarettes from the market. Juul last year stopped selling its flavored e-cigarettes in stores amid pressure from the Food and Drug Administration. Customers could only get the flavors cream, mango, fruit, cucumber on its age-restricted website. Trump administration officials said they would remove all flavored pods, including mint and menthol, leaving only tobacco-flavored e-cigarettes on the market. Juul said it will continue selling its mint and menthol nicotine pods in the meantime. The company said its new policy is effective immediately. We continue to review our policies and practices in advance of the FDA's flavor guidance and have not made any financial decisions. Juul spokesman Offen Finnan said in a statement, "We are refraining from lobbying the administration on its draft flavor guidance and will fully support and comply with the final policy when effective." You know, it's kind of funny. White Claw is going nuts right now. There's a White Claw shortage in the US. That stuff's incredibly popular. I'm sure kids like White Claws too. So it's kind of interesting how the government selectively kind of chooses who it goes after. I guess another thing we can kind of take away from this article, I see a lot of young entrepreneurs on subreddits and YouTube. A lot of people are wanting to go into the vaping space. I would stay far away from the vaping space. Not only is, all these kind of inflated news articles about everybody dying from vaping gonna kind of scare people away and hurt business, but the government is going to be cracking down heavily on this entire industry even more in the future. So probably a niche you want to stay away from. I guess that's one other takeaway from this. Reading on, amid the teen vaping epidemic, an outbreak of deadly vaping related lung diseases, the Trump administration last month said it was readying a move to remove all flavored e-cigarettes from the market until the FDA reviews them and authorizes them to return to shelves. Administration officials at the time said the plan would be released within weeks. They have yet to pronounce one. Juul has been largely blamed for creating a teen vaping epidemic. The company's sales have soared over the past few years alongside rates of middle school and high school students who say they use e-cigarettes. Juul has tried to overhaul its image as a company that is willing to work with regulators and lawmakers. The tobacco giant Altria, and that's kind of why I follow this story. I invest heavily into Altria and Philip Morris. Altria is paying damn near an 8% dividend right now. And historically, Altria and Philip Morris are two of the top performing stocks of all time. Yes, even above Apple and Amazon. Although the companies are, there's less smokers these days, and we see all this regulation in the space. So they are kind of risky plays, but these are two stocks that I'm pretty heavily invested into. So I kind of follow these stories. The company has replaced Juul CEO Kevin Burns with longtime Altria executive Casey Crothwaite, who hired fellow Altria executive Jose Luis Murillo to oversee Juul's regulatory strategy. Juul tried to position itself to stop selling most of its flavors as a sign of its commitment to change. We must reset the vapor category by earning the trust of society and working cooperatively with regulators, policymakers, and stakeholders to combat underage use while providing an alternative to adult smokers, Crothwaite said in a statement. Critics quickly pounced on Juul's decision to continue selling mint. Juul's announcement today that it is leaving mint and menthol flavors on the market shows that it hasn't changed one bit under its new leadership, and it isn't serious about preventing youth. The Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids President Matthew Myers said in a statement. So, again, I think it's funny that we have other vaping companies out there selling cotton candy and mango madness and, actually paying underage kids to promote their products. Yet, God forbid, Juul have a menthol option. So again, just kind of funny how the government chooses who they go after. Among high school students who vape, mint and menthol was the second most popular flavor behind fruit, according to a preliminary data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention 2019 Youth Tobacco Survey. Wells Fargo analysts estimate that flavors including mint and menthol represent about 80% of Juul's roughly $3.3 billion in sales over the past year. And even for adults, I got a buddy who has the Juuls, and I've tried some of his different flavors. Anything that's artificial tobacco flavor tastes like absolute shit. So I'm not surprised that most people would rather Juul a cucumber melon or a mint mango among adults. I don't necessarily that means you're marketing to kids. But we'd love to hear your guys' kind of thoughts on this article. So again, kind of takeaways from a somewhat unrelated article, what we most normally cover. I would stay the hell out of the vaping industry. Seems like it's just going to get harder to operate in that space. And two, if you're in a gray market industry, it's not always good to be the big dog. Sometimes it's good to just kind of fly under the radar and get that money. So that's all I got for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button below, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.